Said we're live. Okay. I'd like to welcome everyone to an audit meeting for June 22nd, 2021 for the Borough Town Board. And we have a couple of developments.
Aren't we doing the public hearing?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. One of those days. All right, I'd like to open up the public hearing for local law 1 of 2021 in relation to the town code chapter 70 of fences, and ask the clerk to read the notice of the public hearing.
You know, I apologize, I'm so ill prepared for this meeting, I don't have.
Oh, hang on.
Can I run down and grab it?
No, I think I've got it here.
I'm sorry,
I have it if you want me to read it.
thank you. I'm
Would you
sorry.
prefer that I read it? for you?
It doesn't matter, I just didn't have it.
Counselor, you want to read it?
For the public hearing notice?
Yeah. Where I got it.
You have it right in front of you.
Yeah. Town of Borough notice of public hearing to consider adoption of a local law. Notice is hereby given pursuant to section 20 of the municipal home rule law of the state of New York that a public hearing will be held by the town board of the town of Borough on June 22nd, 2021 at 6:40 p.m. at the town municipal complex located at 351 Meadows Road, Borough, New York, for the purpose of considering the adoption of local law number 1 of 2021. The notice is actually number 2. This is number 1 if we act on it tonight, correct?
That is correct.
The public will be able to fully observe the video conference meeting, will be able to comment during the public hearing. Video conference is available as follows at https://usco2 web.zoom.us/j/8810-949-3723. To dial in, please call 1-929-205-6099 with meeting code 8810-949-3723. The link will also be on the town's website at www.townborough.org. If adopted, the local law number 1 of 2021 would amend chapter 70 fences of the code of the town of Borough to 1, grant approval of enforcement authority to the zoning administrator, 2, clarify application to corner lots, and 3, add a variance procedure. Written comments on local law number 2 of 2021 can be submitted to the town clerk up until the time of the public hearing. Copy of the proposed local law number 1 of 2021 can be obtained at the Borough Town Municipal Complex and on the town's website. Authorized Leanne M. K. Town Clerk, published June 11th, 2021. And at this time, I'd ask the clerk if we received any written.
We did not.
So let the record reflect we did not receive any written correspondence. And do we have anybody on the line at this time that wishes to comment?
No, not that I've seen. No backs to comment. That's
Give another minute or so and then ask for a motion to close the public hearing. And I'll again ask if there's any member of the public that wishes to be heard in relation to the public hearing on considering adoption of local law number 1 of 2021. No. If not, I think motion is in order to close the public hearing. So moved. Is there a second?
second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously, so the public hearing is now closed. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, this time we'll open the monthly audit meeting for June 22nd, 2021. And ask for roll call.
Councilmember Noonan,
Here.
Councilmember Van Tassel,
Here.
Councilmember Donahue,
Here.
Supervisor Gutierrez,
Here. Supervisor, or sorry, Councilmember Hogan has a prior commitment, so he will not be joining us. So I think do we have all vouchers signed at this time?
yes, we do.
All right, so we have a couple of transfers we need to attend to. And the first motion for transfer of funds I would entertain is to transfer $1,081.77 from account A1620.402, which is general buildings annex account, to account A16220.2, which is general buildings and equipment. And the purpose of the transfer is for the purchase of the microphone system here at Town Hall that we're using this evening. And we'll take them together as one other. Also, as part of that motion would be to transfer $103 from account B 1990.4, which is town outside contractual, to account B 8160.4, which is town outside refuse and garbage. And the purpose of that is to cover the complete cost of the spring brush pickup that we offer our residents. Somebody like to move that motion? Motion. Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And then I do have a need for a resolution to increase appropriations. So I'd entertain a motion to increase appropriations by $1,500 to account G18110.4, which is sewer contractual. And the increase in appropriations is due to sewer consolidation fees and increased fees for sewer use from the city of Glens Falls in 2020. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And I do have one item for discussion. We have a voucher that has been signed off by the water superintendent, Jesse Fish, for payment to George Mansour at 45 Kensington Manor, Middletown, New York, 10941. It's dated and signed June 17th, 2021, and is for the refund of an overpayment of water connection fees at this individual's mother's house located at 8 Jacoby Road in South Glens Falls. And he paid $3,250 on June 7th, 2021. And per the newly established hookup fees, if it doesn't require, if the main is on that side of the road, the fee is $1,700. So the individual would be, is requesting reimbursement for the overpayment in the amount of $1,550. And this has been signed by the department and Jesse Fish.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? No. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Actually, I don't. Do you have anything else?
So that's all I have.
It's gotta go back down now.
Yeah, cool, your way.
Thank you.
What's back then?
Sure.
I think so. We're good. So we're all set. All right. So we've got the transfers, increased appropriations done, all the necessary signatures on the vouchers. So I entertain a motion to pay the bills as audited.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Tammy, you're all set?
I'm all set.
All right, entertain a motion to close the audit meeting.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? All right, thank you. We'll get started here in the regular portion of today's board meeting shortly. Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to a regular meeting of the Borough Town Board for June 22nd, 2021, and ask that everyone please rise for, I'm sorry, roll call first.
Councilmember Noonan,
Here.
Councilmember Van Tassel,
Here.
Councilmember Donahue,
Here.
Supervisor Kujanis,
Here. And now let everyone please rise for a pledge of allegiance. See if we can get that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Item 1 on the agenda this evening is, as is customary, approval of minutes. We have the minutes from the town board workshop that was held on May 20th, 2021, May 27th, 2021 regular town board meeting, as well as another regular town board meeting for June 8th. Would you like to take them all together? I think we can do that. Yeah, we can do that if I so choose to.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the town board workshop minutes from May 20th, 2021, May 27th, 2021, which is a regular town board meeting, and June 8th, 2021, which is also a regular town board meeting.
So moved. For second. Any discussion, comments on it? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? They're approved unanimously. Item 2 on the agenda is to, we need to set the public hearing on water district consolidation. And that requires a formal resolution to do so. And my recommendation would be to schedule it for our next board meeting, maybe before the board meeting. I don't expect there will be a lot of public input. Possibly at do 6:50 on July 13th. July 13th. That's the next meeting.
I believe it is 2 weeks from now. 3 weeks from now.
Does that work for everyone? It does for me. Okay. I may not be available that evening, but you know, I don't want to stop the process. So work for you, JD?
Yeah. What time is that?
6:50, 10 minutes before the regular board meeting. All right. So I'll need a motion to that effect.
I'd like to make a motion to set a orders of consolidation public hearing for July 13th at 6:50.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. You'll let Bill Ryan know that we approve that.
I will.
Do we have to do any more on that at this time?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Then, okay.
I'm going to skip it for a moment because we're going to be addressing it at item number 4. But I expect that we'll be setting another public hearing, probably not on the same day. So that takes us to item 3, local law 1 of 2021, town code chapter 70 fences. We did have our public hearing on it this evening. We received no public comment. And so therefore we closed the public hearing. So at this time, if the board so chooses, we can take up adoption of the local law number 1 of 2021. And Counselor, do you want to just give a synopsis of what that local law entails?
Sure. The local law clarifies 3 areas. It clarifies how corner lots are viewed within the local law. It clarifies that the zoning administrator now has enforcement authority. And it goes one further thing, and I can't remember off the top of my head, and it's discussed it. 1 second.
Then you got a really good
It
shot.
has a variance procedure for those individuals that need to have a variance from the requirements. And other than those 3 issues, there's nothing that changed in the law.
Yeah, and this was brought to the board's attention. Over the years, we've had a number of residents who have found themselves in this particular situation where they own a corner lot with residents on it and have wished to erect a fence of a certain size, which is permissible on any lot based on our code limitations. However, there was a strict limitation that was specific to corner lots, and it didn't afford a mechanism for the property owner if they were to seek regress and asking for a variance on that particular situation. So what this local law would do is allow a provision for the zoning administrator to become involved and administratively address the needs of the property owners. So this is again another action on the part of the town board, essentially make local government more efficient. So with that, that requires a couple of actions before we adopt the local law. The first being completing parts 2 and 3 of the environmental assessment form, which I believe board members have a copy of. And I can either read the record or.
Well, it's up to you. We can go through each of the 11 questions to ascertain whether the board decides that this has no or small impact. I took the liberty of identifying that the adoption of the law had no or a small impact in 1 through 11. It's up to the board whether you want me to read all of those or if you are comfortable with just adopting as I've written there.
Actually, I think not everyone's familiar with the EAF form, part 2, part 3, so I think it would be beneficial to have it.
Okay, I can do that. So what I'll do is ask a question and then the answer will be either no or small impact. That's one category, or moderate to large impact. And remembering the action is the adoption of the law. So the first question, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? No or moderate?
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing levels of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies,
No.
public or private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, for example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
Is it the board's desire to issue a negative declaration on this?
Yes.
So that's, page 3 is the boxes checked that there will be no significant adverse environmental impacts.
Okay, so that's essentially part 2 and part 3
Yes.
of the EAF. And so now we're required to make a negative declaration.
Yes, there's an adoption resolution.
All right, so that's included in that. So I'll read into the record the notice of adoption.
Well, no,
Oh, hang on, wrong form. Subject adoption of local law 1 of 2021, amending chapter 70 fences of the code of the town of Borough. Whereas the town board of the town of Borough board is considering the adoption of local law 1 of 2021, which if adopted as proposed would amend chapter 70 fences to 1, grant approval of enforcement authority to the zoning administrator, 2, clarify application of the corner lots, and 3, add a variance procedure. And whereas the board finds the adoption of local 1 of 2021 is in the best interest of the town and is necessary to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of town residents and property owners. And whereas the board finds that the adoption of local law 1 of 2021 is necessary in the proper exercise of authority by the board. And whereas the authority for the enactment of this local law is found in section 10, subsection 1I of the municipal home rule law. And whereas pursuant to section 20 of the municipal home rule law, a public hearing on the proposed adoption of local law 1 of 2021 was properly noticed in the newspaper and posted and was duly conducted on June 22nd, 2021 at the town municipal complex and via remote streaming pursuant to executive order 202.1 sequentially. And whereas the board has considered the public comments made at the public hearing, and whereas the board, serving as lead agency for this unlisted action under SECRA, reviewed a short environmental assessment form and determined that the action does not present any adverse environmental impacts. And whereas after thorough review and deliberation, the board proposes to adopt local law number 1 of 2021. And whereas the attorney for the town has prepared the necessary documents for filing this local law with the Secretary of State, including the text of the law itself. Now therefore be resolved that the board hereby adopts local law 1 of 2021, which amends the law as stated above, and be it further resolved that the board adopts and authorizes the following negative declaration, and be it further resolved that the board hereby authorizes the town clerk and the attorney for the town to make such minor modifications to the local law documents as they deem necessary, and therefore are directed to execute and file said documents as required by law, and to take all the necessary action for the promulgation thereof. Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? No. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So we are all set on local law number 1, if I'm not mistaken.
you are correct.
Thank you, everyone. That'll be very helpful to the department, particularly the zoning administrator. Agenda item number 4 is a petition to extend R5 zoning. As the board is aware, because we discussed this at a previous meeting, we received correspondence in relation to property that's located at, I think it's 516 Selfridge Road. That had originally been zoned R5, also agricultural, and along the way it became, part of the lot became zoned R2, so it's a split lot zoning. There is a request, a petition to the board by the property owner that it all be included in the R5 for zoning purposes. And I think board members have a copy of the map on that already. And to do so, that requires adoption of a local law for that to happen. And, have we got the local law now?
The law itself is just the amendment to the map.
Okay, so then basically, what is required now, if this board so chooses, is we need to set a public hearing, for adoption of this local law.
Correct.
And, I can say that I'm fully in support of this request. It dovetails nicely within the character of the R5 agricultural district, now, and I don't see any adverse, anyone being opposed to it, since the area contiguous across the road is already zoned R5. So, any thoughts on that?
I'm in support of it as well. Again, part of the property is already zoned on the map for the intended use of what they want the whole property to be used for, so I also support it.
Add it to a public hearing next meeting.
So, yeah, my recommendation would be, we said 650, we could do 645. I don't think there would be a lot of comment on it, but, having two of them scheduled would kind of give us a buffer in there. So 645 on July 13th would work. That's totally all right. That works for everybody. All right, so we'll need a resolution to set a public hearing on the petition to request extension of zoning at 516 Selvage Road, which is parcels 77.-1-29 and 359 Gansett Road rear 77.1-1-28.5.
Motion to approve the proper posting. We take that. Publishing, was it publishing?
As is, we already have to do that.
Right, this is just regulated like a local law.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So we have two public hearings that I'd like to do. Item 5 on the agenda, I've listed as the Recreational Trails Program. I know some board members have met with representatives from the LA group to discuss final design and construction of a phase 1 recreational trail loop down by the river. And I don't know, we could have done this in the committee reports, but because it requires legislative action, I have this as a separate item, so I don't know who was speaking on.
I was not.
I'm the person I can speak to.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, no, hopefully for the next board meeting, if we get it as the agenda, LA group and the people involved would like to present to the board and the public the plans in a bigger presentation tonight. But because of the timing of the dates on the grant, we were looking to get a discussion to understand the request for passing the resolution tonight to engage the services of LA group and grant. So just a high level summary, there's a significant grant money available to parents. So we're looking for LA group to prepare that grant application for the final design and construction of what's being called Big Dent Trail Phase 1. And the final design and construction of the new recreational trail is the first phase of the Big Dent Trail on the Hudson River beginning at Dolman Road. The project would bring the existing natural pass service and walkability up to ADA standards. Phase 1 consists of the trailhead, primary waterfront loop, fishing piers, and kayak launch. There's a grant available under NYSOP RHP Recreational Trail Programs. It's a maximum funding amount of $250,000. The grant due date is July 30th, and the total cost for this phase 1 project is $850,000. Keep in mind that the documents which are being distributed, I already have them, sorry, list out for us and the group that will present next board meeting if we get on the schedule to explain or answer any questions. But there's an a la carte menu of the way they priced the build of phase 1, which will allow us to trim it back down inside the amount available through the grant. Right? So there's a cost. When we talk a little more about the grant request would be for $250,000. It's a local match needed of $50,000, and we can use the in-kind $50,000 mostly students, materials, and contributions. And then we can apply for a $10,000 in the Trails funds through that Saratoga County grant program. And the cost to write the grant for LA Group is $3,500. So I guess I'd stop there for a moment before we possibly get to presenting a resolution, see what the questions are.
No, I think it's a great idea. We've applied for funding for the same project from the county and actually been successful at least 1 year, maybe 2 years in a row of getting funding from the county. So, we've got some seed money for that. My recommendation would be, because it is time sensitive, and we most likely be using monies out of the HT fund, which, as you know, is subject to a permissive referendum, that we move forward with approving the proposal from the grant side, the application this evening, because that'll start the clock ticking. For 30 days, I believe, Counselor?
Correct.
Yeah. So if the board wants to pursue this, because of some of the timing needs, we probably should authorize the LA group, once the required time period has expired, to move forward with it.
Yeah. I'd certainly be in favor of that. And when everybody gets a chance to absorb the proposed phases and how well it continues to add amenities to the town for all the taxpayers, I think that there's a lot of good value here.
So, is everybody in support of that?
Yes.
Okay, so if we're going to do that, I have a resolution that Jeffrey just put together. I'll read it into the record. We can decide where we want to go from there. So this is a resolution by the town board, town of Borough, for June 22nd, 2021. Subject is townwide recreational capital reserve fund expenditure. Whereas by resolution dated December 13, 2011, the town board of the town of Borough duly established a capital reserve fund designated as a townwide recreational capital reserve fund for the purpose of funding the acquisition and development of lands within the town of Borough for recreational use, including capital improvements on lands presently owned in fee or otherwise, leased or hereinafter acquired in fee or otherwise released by the town. And whereas the townwide recreational capital reserve fund has a present balance of approximately $186,617.80, and whereas the town board of the town of Borough is dedicated to providing a diverse number of recreational activities for the local community, and whereas the town board of the town of Borough is interested in applying for a grant for the recreational trail loop known as the Big Bend Trail on the Hudson River beginning at Nolan Road, and whereas the aforementioned grant and project as set forth above are a purpose for which the townwide recreational capital reserve fund was established, and whereas the town board desires to fund the engagement of the LA group to write and apply for a grant for the recreational trail loop as set forth above out of the town-wide recreational capital reserve fund. And whereas the town board having deliberated upon this matter, now therefore be resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the expenditure of funds not to exceed $3,500 for the town-wide recreational capital reserve fund for payment to the LA Group to write and apply for the grant for the development of a recreational trail as set forth above. And it is further resolved that the supervisor and or deputy supervisor is authorized to execute any documents necessary to effectuate the purchase identified above. And it is further resolved that this resolution is made pursuant to General Municipal Law Section 6C and is subject to a permissive referendum as permitted by law. Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just to highlight just a couple more things, I'll be very quick. I would like to, I could just suggest that we have them on the next meeting's agenda because there's just a tremendous amount of information. I mean, the trail we're talking about actually happens, if you go back far in history, it was the road before Route 9 even existed. So there's just a tremendous amount of history along a beautiful stretch of the waterfront down there. There's a lot of stuff that many of our residents don't even know about that can be made available to them. So that's the only other comment I have.
Great. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Council, did you need a copy of this? That's what you did.
Eventually.
Do you have a copy? No, a copy? Or
No, I'll
I'll get it one.
Okay. All right, that takes care of that. Thanks for taking the time to, meet to discuss that. Appreciate it. Item 6 on the agenda, I have listed as the Highway Department. And the first item I have is the town board has received a resignation letter from Maureen L. Lurkes, who is the clerk for the Highway Department, who, actually I shouldn't say resignation, she's retiring after 23 years with the town. I'll just read it briefly. It says, please take notice that on August 12, 2021, I'll be retiring after 23 years. It's given me great pleasure to be part of the Highway Department. So on behalf of the town, I'd like to thank Maureen for her commitment and dedication to the town residents, and particularly her efforts on behalf of the Highway Department, making sure the needs of the town are met in her capacity. And she also serves as stormwater management officer for the town, so we'll have to see how we want to handle that moving forward, but we wish her well in all her future endeavors. Is that all?
No, I believe it's not,
So we're working through the Wood Creek letter of credit. I haven't received the necessary documentations from the highway superintendent to move forward on that, so there's no action needed there.
Do we need a resolution to accept that resignation?
We usually do those.
So we'll accept her resignation for retirement purposes.
So,
second.
All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I have transfer station listed on here. And the only reason I have it listed is that the individual that the town has hired and would be a great addition to town transfer station operations, has some unforeseen circumstances that have arisen, and he has indicated he is unable to take the job. So we will need to continue looking for the transfer station manager position. And start over.
So was that one of the candidates for the manager's position, or is that one of the candidates for the?
This was this information with
Until we just hire? Yes. Yeah, okay. That would be a, that's it, so we can, it's always nothing, no. We'll work on it.
Aaron,
That's Councilman Hogan, Councilman Donahue. The Personnel committee will be happy to go back to some other.
all right, and next item on the agenda, 8 is, this is it, is Winterberry Lane. We got a couple items here. The first item in relation to Winterberry Lane is we had received a request for a speed limit reduction. The board was all in favor of it, but it requires a formal board resolution. And if you recall, we talked about it on May 27th, but we did not do a resolution on it. So we need a formal resolution. We're requesting speed limit reduction from New York State DOT from the current posting of 30 miles per hour to 20 miles per hour. Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. The next item for Winterberry is, we also discussed at I think it was the last board meeting?
I believe it was the last board meeting, maybe one before that.
And that's in relation to property that the town owns that borders the back of several residences. And I know council member Noonan has been working closely with property owners. And would you like to provide an update on that?
Sure, so an update, hopefully I can make it quicker than all of the correspondence that has gone on over this. First, I'd like to just thank on the record everybody that has worked on this. Carla, Bittner, council, board members and supervisors for going out to take a look at the property. The folks at Friedman Excavating, Charles Friedman and another employee there, and the three families, the Estes, the Taylors, and they unfortunately don't have a third family. And if there's anybody else I may have forgotten, no, Travis Mitchell. What's that?
Jim Martin.
Jim, I was getting there, Jim Martin.
I think the third property owner is Van Dusen.
Okay, right, the third property assessor, Van Dusen. What started out to be appeared to be a simple request because as a homeowner, I would have also thought it was a simple request to use a little bit of the town's property, needing the use of the town's property for excavation purposes to essentially finish off you know, the landscaping and safety issues for our new property. Turns out that in order to be done right, there were significant legal avenues that must have been followed and communications that had to happen to keep the homeowner and the town safe from any liability in the future. So we were up against the time crunch here, and lots of busy people were able to spend a significant amount of time over a short amount of time to really see this project through, to help these folks get this taken care of. And as of today, I believe, Council, correct me if I'm wrong, we have all of the necessary approvals from every entity that needs to say okay to this, except for now the town board. Is that kind of where we're at?
We have not heard back from the excavator, but I'm sure that that's coming
Okay.
because he was involved in all the conversations
Right.
that were had, so yes.
Okay. So we do have, we're at a spot where Jim Martin's communication with Travis Mitchell and the Friedman excavation group, multiple revisions of many emails to fix a word here and a word there to really make sure that this is keeping everybody safe from a legal standpoint, having it done, you know, correctly. So I don't know, do we have that agreement, or are we gonna read this whole agreement in its entirety?
No, what you would be doing is adopting a resolution, and ultimately, if I may,
You may.
ultimately, the town is going to enter into an agreement with Charles Friedman to allow access to the town's property and for removal of certain trees and grading work on the town's property to help the town and to help those individuals and to protect them from any potential erosion issues and the like. In order to do that, obviously, the Friedman needs access to the town's property. So there's an agreement that has been drafted that not only identifies that, it also identifies that this is going to be done at zero cost to the town of Borough. This is going to be done solely on, being paid solely by the three property owners. So there's no issues with respect to going out to bid or doing work for private individuals. This is solely an agreement for access purposes. And there's a scope of work that is attached to it. And I just wanted that to be made clear that the town of Borough is not paying for any of this. So the resolution you have before you merely authorizes access to and work upon the property and authorizes the supervisor to sign the agreement. And the agreement does incorporate hold harmless, indemnification, insurance requirements, all of that fun stuff.
Okay. So what's our next step?
So the resolution would be to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Charles E. Friedman Excavating Incorporated that has been prepared and reviewed by council. And I know that the other parties, we expect that there'll be an agreement to it. If not, it's their prerogative not to sign it. So we're looking for authority for the supervisor to enter into an agreement and sign the agreement.
There is a resolution.
Oh, there is?
Yes.
The resolution.
We have it.
You have it?
John,
I have the agreement.
No, we should have the resolution.
Oh, hang
Is that the proper?
I'm sorry.
on. The resolution.
I can read it.
Yes, Leanne's offered to read it. She wants to be heard. Send one of the multiple emails I sent to them. And last
Oh,
night.
I do have it. Can I read it again?
If you want to.
Sure. I love reading. All right, so this is a resolution by Town Board, Town Road, dated June 22nd, 2021. Subject authorizing access to and work upon town property and execution by supervisor. Whereas the town is the owner of the property located at 239 through 241 Fort Edward Road, Town Road, tax map parcel 50-3-13, hereafter known as the property. And whereas the property abuts certain property located in the Winterberry subdivision, and whereas the town was approached by the owners of 3 parcels in the Winterberry subdivision, hereinafter referred to as the owners, regarding concerns with trees and grading on the town's property, and potential for damage. Well, grading isn't on town property. Some of it is.
Some of it is.
They went on town property when they did it.
No, there's
No.
issues of grading on the property.
Grading on the town's property and potential for damage to their property from the town's property. And whereas the owners offered to have a Winterberry subdivision contractor, Friedman, perform the necessary grading and tree removal work and seeding remediation so as to protect the parcels from damage and protect the town from incurring potential liability for future damages that could occur as a result of the grading and the tree location on the property. And whereas the owners offer to pay any and all charges related to the work to remove the trees and grade the property, with no cost to be paid by the town. And whereas Friedman has agreed to perform the work and receive payment by the owners and not the town. And whereas Friedman represents that, excuse me, it has all the necessary state and federal licenses, permits, certificates to complete the services, and that is professionally capable of carrying out the services which are the subject matter of this agreement. And whereas Friedman requires access to the property and the right to perform the work thereon, now therefore be it resolved that the town hereby grants access to Friedman Excavating Incorporated for the sole and the discrete purpose of tree removal, grading and seeding remediation of a section of the property as identified in the plan, and be it further resolved that the town will incur no costs and be responsible for no payments to any party with respect to the work performed, and be it further resolved that the attorney for the town is authorized to prepare an agreement providing access to and permission to perform said work, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to execute the agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Again, I thank you to everybody who was able to come together in such a short period of time to make this happen for these folks.
Thank you.
Now, is there any, at this point, Charles Friedman's company has to come in and sign their part of the agreement?
Yes,
So this sign also.
they sign, then the supervisor signs.
And the homeowners don't sign anything at this point because
No,
it's.
town has no agreement for homeowners.
Okay. Got it.
Agenda item number 9, water/sewer department. We have a couple items here to discuss this evening. We'll start with, as the board is aware, we received a request for a property owner, he actually owns multiple lots on Van Buren Street, to have the water main extended in front of his property so he may participate in the water district. For whatever reason, under previous administration, when water district was created and extended, the water mains did not go down to those parcels included in the district. So therefore, the property owner is entitled to receive municipal water because he's in the district. Now, he can't receive water unless the infrastructure is there, and the infrastructure is not there. So we have a proposal from the town's engineer to assist the town. This would be the Borough group to assist the town in the proposed Van Buren Street water main extension. And we're looking to extend approximately 700 feet of water main to provide water to the properties that are located within the water district but are not yet receiving water. And within the proposal from the LaBerge Group dated June 18th, they have detailed the scope of work, which includes several items in the field survey, multiple items under design and permitting, also items listed under bidding services. And the final item would be contract administration and construction observation, along with some technical assumptions that are made as part of this proposal. So the fee for that work, they're proposing with the survey work, it's $3,500. With the design and permitting portion, it's $10,900. And then the bidding services is $2,000 for a total contract amount of $16,400. And obviously this would have to be paid for by the water districts collectively. Actually, it's Water District 1 that paid for it, right? So Water District 1 as of May 31st has its account I-8310.4 has a current balance of $67,840, that's $45.66. So the town has an obligation to get that water to the property owner. The question is, what we need to do, we want to do it to start the process. And I asked the town engineer to provide a proposal to the town, so that's what you have before you proceed.
And just to clarify, number 4 is not part of the town is doing that number 4, correct?
Yes.
And would you say it was a district one or something?
The amount is 60, just over, almost 68,000.
Okay, we're obligated.
Yeah.
The new resolution.
So the resolution would be to authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement, engaging the services of the LaBerge Group for professional services for the Van Buren Street water main extension per outlined in the June 18, 2021 letter proposal. So,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I have had conversations with, as recently as today, with the mayor of the village, the South Glens Falls. I know our engineer has followed up after my call with him. I know board members have had conversations with the mayor in relation to the request that we extend the IMA agreement that will provide water to the village under certain circumstances. And the board had originally authorized the agreement and authorized me to sign the agreement in a previous resolution. I don't know if it was under here or not. Resolution 2021-202. We, in talking with our engineers, we don't have the ability legally to meet the requirements of the IMA. So upon further conversations to the part of the village that they wanted that needs to be met with service, we know that looking at water usage for the past couple of weeks was averaging around 70,000 gallons. And looking at the needs for our capacity that we've already committed to for inside the town, our engineer has estimated that we can legally meet the needs of approximately 140,000 gallons of water to the village. And I'm going to be asking for further action this evening in relation to purchasing capacity that will allow us to meet that 140,000 request. So what we need to do is adopt a resolution amending, or do you want to, I didn't execute the previous contract, so should we do a new one?
Yes, what you'll need to do, there's 3 things you'll need to do. The first is you'll need to rescind that prior resolution, which said 800,000 gallons. So that would be rescinding resolution 2021-202. That's your first step. After that, we'll need to adopt the resolution authorizing the town to purchase capacity from the town of Queensberry in order to meet the needs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would adopt the resolution that authorizes the town to sell to the village for emergency purposes and authorize you to sign that agreement for the 140,000. So you'd be purchasing 150,000 from the town of Queensberry, which you purchase in $50,000 increments, 50,000 gallon increments.
Right.
And 140 of that would go to the village of South Glens Falls.
Yeah, And, you know, we want to do all we can to help the village residents, our neighbors. And with this methodology, there's no cost, of capacity to the village with this agreement, based on the actions I expect we'll be taking shortly after this. So if the board is in agreement and wants to continue with an IMA with the village, the first thing we need to do is rescind resolution 2021-202.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So I guess before we do that, we're gonna have capacity in place.
Right,
Can't give away something we don't have.
right.
So, working with the town engineer, I know Carla and myself and Don Rose on a conference call today, ironed out what needs to take place, and it's a recommendation of the engineer based on the projects that the town has already approved, capacity-wise, and the town board's willingness to help the village. We should buy 3 allotments of capacity in each allotment for 50,000 gallons of capacity cost, $53,000. So I have a resolution. The board would like to make that purchase. You want me to read that for you?
If you would.
Oh, sure. Resolution Town Board, Town of Borough for June 22nd, 2021. Amending the intermunicipal, or not amending it if it's not executed.
This is the intermunicipal agreement with Queensbury.
Oh, sorry. Amending the intermunicipal agreement with Queensbury for the purchase of water capacity, whereas the town of Borough entered into an IMA with the town board, the town of Queensbury, on behalf of the Queensbury Consolidated Water District on the 1st of February, 1999, and whereas Section 9 of the aforementioned IMA grants the town of Borough the right to purchase additional capacity from Queensbury. Now therefore it be resolved that the town of Borough purchase additional capacity of 150,000 gallons per day from Queensbury in an amount not to exceed $159,000 to be paid pre-audit and from all 6 water districts in the town of Borough. Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And so now that will take us to the agreement with the village. And I think the board members also have a copy of that resolution. I have your copy. Okay. Resolution Town Board, Town of Borough, dated June 22nd, 2021, with the subject authorizing sale of water to the village for emergency water use. Whereas the village of South Falls has requested that the town of Borough enter into an intermunicipal agreement IMA to provide water to the village for emergency use only. And whereas the town is agreeable to enter into such agreement, which allows for the sale of a maximum of 140,000 gallons of water per day, not to exceed 4,200,000 gallons in 1 month. Now therefore be it resolved that the town will enter into an agreement with the village of South Falls, which agreement provides for the sale of a maximum of 140,000 gallons of water per day, not to exceed 4.2 million gallons in 1 month for emergency use only. And be it further resolved that the cost for the water usage is $4 per 1,000 gallons. And be it further resolved that the agreement will be for a term of 6 months. And be it further resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to execute the agreement. Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. So I think We all done on water as far as I know. Now we need to move on to, now we need to move on to the sewer portion of the discussion under agenda item 9. As the board is aware, we had requested to purchase additional capacity from the city of Glens Falls at the rate that was in the contract. We received correspondence back from the mayor, Mayor Hall, indicating that it's their determination that the contract as agreed to has expired, and therefore they would not entertain a value amount any lower than $6, a $6 rate, with the possibility of it actually being higher than that. So the discussion is at a standstill from at least my characterization of it. I'm talking with the key principals as well as our team that's been involved in it, and running the numbers based on the new, what would be the new fee schedule. We have to seriously consider some other options. One of those options would be to have the town participate in the Saratoga County sewer district. As you may or may not be aware, their sewer district currently serves the development at exit 16 off the Northway. And so our options would be to obviously build our own plant, which is cost prohibitive, or to look into the feasibility of constructing a line and tying in with the county. I've had conversations with the county. They do have the capacity to meet our needs, and even as we grow. So I think it would be prudent for the town board to look into the feasibility of that option, and that requires engineering. And so we have a proposal from the town's engineer, LaBerge Group, to do the legwork on that. This is in a letter dated June 21st, 2021. I believe all the board members have received a copy of that. And this says, dear Supervisor Kuzniers, as requested, please accept this proposal to assist with the evaluation of the sewer treatment alternative or alternatives. We understand that the city of Glens Falls has proposed that the town will need to pay a high cost for additional treatment capacity. We also understand that if the town buys additional treatment capacity for future growth, the city will require changes to the existing agreement, which will increase costs for existing users. Although the town currently has ample treatment capacity reserved for near-term growth, it is important to evaluate whether the city's proposed terms are in the town's best interest when compared to available options. If acceptable, we propose to prepare an engineering report that will identify and evaluate alternatives available for sanitary sewer treatment and their associated costs. We propose to complete this effort for a lump sum fee of $35,000 plus reimbursable expenses for travel and reproduction. Please note that this proposed fee assumes that EFC funding will not be used and that MWB participation requirements will not apply. If our proposal is acceptable to the town, please sign the enclosed contract addendum for execution. On receipt of the executed agreement, we will begin work on the project, and we estimate 6 to 8 weeks will be required to complete the report following authorization to proceed. And if the board wants to do this, my recommendation would be that we transfer some funds from the general contingent account to our economic development account that we have budgeted monies for, to authorize this work to begin. The contingent account has a current balance as of May 31st of $62,052, and the economic development or economic assistance account has a current balance of just over 19,800. So we would have to move approximately $15,500 for that work. So I wanted to bring it to the board for deliberation, input, thoughts on whether this is something that we should be looking at. It's my belief that we have to be fiscally responsible and look at alternatives. We may not have any alternatives that are cost effective, but we don't know that unless we look at it formally and see what the real numbers are.
I think it's a smart idea to look at the options. I'm assuming the report we'll receive back from the Borough group will explain and show a timeline of what the cost benefits will be down the road, because obviously anything going south is going to be quite costly, but I can only imagine once also already kind of indicated that prices will continue to rise. It might be our best bet to look at what it will cost to get us down the road and, like you said, be more self-sufficient. So I would support going forward with this proposal.
I'm in agreement for the same reasons mentioned by Councilman Noonan.
Any other thoughts or discussion?
Without going down the rabbit hole too far, the system we're putting in now would have the ability to reverse.
So one of the reasons that it would be very timely to move forward on this is that there could be cost savings realized by resizing, relocating certain size pipe as part of the ongoing project. So if everyone, it sounds like everybody would like to move that way, I would entertain a motion to transfer funds from account 15,500 from account A1990.4, which is a general contingent account, into account A6460.4, which is the general economic assistance account. And again, the purpose would be to increase funds in economic development to help us in our evaluation of alternative sewer treatment options.
So,
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So with the transfer of funds, then I would entertain a motion to authorize a contract addendum number 2021-075-00 dated June 22nd, 2021. Which involves the original agreement between the town of Borough and the Borough group as our engineers, which will increase the contract by $35,000 plus reimbursable expenses for provision of additional services related to the alternative sewer treatment options as stated in the attached proposal letter dated June 21, 2021 for $35,000.
so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Supervisor items. Just got a couple things. I received a report from the mortgage tax receipts for the period of May 1st through May 31st. And the town of Borough will be receiving $98,134.50. And interestingly, it's the fourth largest amount in county of all towns. Well, if you take out the city of Saratoga Springs. So that just goes to show you where a lot of folks, you know, they're very interested in residing here in the town of Borough. So very good news for our bottom line. I received correspondence from New York State Tax Department stating that on June 16, 2021, they established a final 2021 state and/or class equalization rate for the town of Borough. And they have made our final rate 100% again. And the final rate certificate impact statement, data reports are attached. If anybody wants to take a look at them. And if I have any questions, they can reach out. Certified by Brian F. Moon, property analyst, number 2.
That's good news for our taxpayers.
Yep, because as I've indicated in the past, the sales tax that we receive from the county is one of the components of that formula is our assessment role, and obviously not being at 100% keeps additional sales tax revenue from coming to us. So it's great that we're there.
I mean, beyond that, I think if we are at 100%, we risk other possible
Yes.
tax exemptions.
Oh,
sorry.
Yep, all the exemptions are less. So we're doing what we should to protect those exemptions. Also received correspondence from New York State Canal Corporation in relation to the Earth and Embankment Integrity Program. That's a notice of release of the draft generic environmental impact statement. Says the New York State Canal Corporation as lead agency has completed the draft generic environmental impact study document for the proposed barge canal earth and embankment integrity program for review by the public. And the Canal Corp is also releasing a draft embankment maintenance guidebook, which is the primary governance document for implementation of the EEIP for public review. 2 virtual public comment sessions will be held July 14, 2021 at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. to accept verbal comments from the public. And you can also provide written comments no later than August 5th, 2021, either by mail to Mr. James Candelero, PE, 30 South Pearl Street, 10th floor, LA, New York, 12207, or by email near nyscc-embankments@bergmannpc.com or online at www.canals.newyork.gov/earthen_embankment. So if anybody wants more information on that, I can reach out to my office, we'll get that. That's all I have under supervisor items. Committee reports.
Do some from our rec Peter, a couple updates.
Sure.
Yeah, so Peter provided some updates for the rec committee, and I just want to share them. First, the expanded drainage area for the universal playground and splash pad, that has been completed. We don't anticipate any more runoff issues. I've driven in there multiple times and just happy to see awful lot of smiling faces getting used out of that universal playground, not just the splash pad. And it's a great amenity to the town around, to the beach art park. So, thanks for the water and highway department for both helping out with digging and the stone and topsoil spread, and they're going to get it seeded ASAP. So we're continuing to move through that project, still not done, but open to the public and getting a lot of action.
The grass was done today, the grass all around the playground was all growing, it was needed to be mowed. And the other day I was down there and there was multiple out-of-state plates that were in the parking.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge weekend. I don't have numbers to back that up. I can tell you that the parking lot was overflowing and cars were out with several different organizations running events. It was just a good weekend to see a lot of people down in the park. I know it was really hot. It was nice to see them from all sorts of other states. Parking lot signage has been ordered and we're waiting on okay from the board on some final decisions on striping the parking lot. So a committee will be bringing that to the board for some final decisions soon. Focus is now on finishing disc golf. Again, we've talked in the past about how popular that sport's becoming. Right now, they're in the process of putting in the metal ground sleeves for the baskets. Those were installed actually, and the rubber tree pad mats have now been delivered. So once that course is up and running, we're probably going to see a lot of activity on that. Flyers did go out to the schools so that they can be brought home or distributed to the schools for both the basketball and the nature camp. Those were distributed. The dates for the nature camp are July 26th to the 30th and August 2nd through the 6th. The information on flag football will be sent out soon. And that would be the updates from Rec.
Thank you for that.
I'm at the transfer station, but I just want to touch on the rec just a second. My granddaughter gave it 2 thumbs up. She went down, she absolutely loved it. She loved it, she's been down there several times actually, so. A transfer station, I talked to Mike over at the transfer station about the roof and the compactor. He's more than willing to go in on a Wednesday and the day off and do one side roof, the next Wednesday do the other side roof. He just wants to say, okay, he said he checked into the materials, be about $900. And that's considerably less than any of the, so if we want to authorize that, he'd be more than willing to do it on Wednesday, a couple of Wednesdays in a row. He said he's got the nail guns, he's got everything he needs to do the work. So all we have to do is give him okay to get the materials and we want to do it. So.
Do you know what accounts from that come? Or we can do it tonight?
I don't know, he just gave me through that number.
Do we have a threshold for downward move for transfer station? I can't remember. I have the budget book. Well, we can do it. We can get the account.
It's account.
Next time.
But he's one of the important ones.
Right.
That's awesome. A lot of money, so.
That's great.
That's all.
One thing that's maybe for rec, it's not from rec, but it's for rec. Someone brought to my attention, we have the EV charging stations down there, on the side of 201 parking. There's no signage that indicates parking is preferred for electric vehicles. So I don't know if that's something we probably should.
People are parking because it's of no value to the town.
Right.
So no value to electric
Right.
car operators if they don't have access.
Right. I also don't know if there was because of where it's located, if someone was charging, if they came in, it would have messed kind of with the grass, there's a big stone, if they came in the other way to park, plug in, but I see more non-electric vehicles parked there.
Yeah, it's pretty common, if you in other parts of the county I've been in, they do have signage that says, electric vehicle parking.
Yeah.
Most men. I can communicate that to the record.
Okay.
He'll get it on the list to give us some pricing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other committee reports? All right, so I'm going to need an executive session to discuss the work performance of a unnamed individual or individuals. Yeah, motion, so I need a motion to go in.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Leanne, if you want to take off, Now, I'll make a record of who,
There won't be any action
There'll be any
afterwards? Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
no, I know, it's no fun when you gotta be somewhere and.
Tammy brought me these in case you guys want them. They're extra copies of the corrected resolution for the, water with Queensberry.
The dollar amount.
Yeah,
I think the board.
she wasn't sure if it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Is there something we can do to that? That we can do when you come back?
I'll just stop it and take it with me.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
You want me to write the report?
We'll do.
Unmuted.
Red light looks like.
Okay.
All right, we have come out of executive session and let the record reflect that we took no action in executive session. And I believe that Councilmember Van Tassel does have a request.
Yeah, I forgot to mention it earlier, I apologize to, along with this, but under committees, I meant to bring up a discussion regarding, get the board's thoughts on moving forward with advertising for the water department laborer position that we have had open, and in this year's budget, and have been holding off on it under direction of the water superintendent. But in recent conversations, in light of the ongoing growth, his support and recommendation is that we see if we can get the board to really move forward. So looking for support in that, and then so looking for a resolution to advertise for the position of water department laborer, salary commensurate with experience.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Any other businesses else next on the agenda?
Well, I got one thing I wrote down, how close are we to open up the meetings to the public again?
So the Capitol just got opened up, I think, this week. I expect the executive order is July 5th.
It ends July 5th,
July
correct?
5th, so I think moving forward.
Okay, I've got a couple of people asking.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.